All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Thanks for joining us today. You can go ahead and scan the QR code to check in for today. Great. And to introduce myself, I will also update my name. But my name is Alyssa Henderson. I'm a Senior Assistant Director with Career and Professional Development here at Virginia Tech. And so we're here together partnering with Pamplin Career Services. Today, we're going to talk about Handshake. Is what I'm going to go over. So hopefully all of you have heard about Handshake. If not, you'll get a good overview of that. And then we'll also have overview on other kind of job search tips. And then there's another check-in link available in the chat for you. So if you've missed the QR code, check in the chat. But thanks for joining us today. So to start off again, we're going to chat a little bit about Handshake and how it can help you in your job and internship search. This is the primary platform that we as Virginia Tech as a whole provide and is available for you. It's focused on early careers, so everything that you are incorporated in as far as internships, co-ops, on-campus jobs, as well as those initial full-time positions as well. So a little bit about my focus in career professional development. We are organized into different career pathways, and I focus on our business management, administration, and finance, as well as our hospitality, tourism, and events, which is why I often will partner with our Pamplin Career Services team. So for those who may or may not be familiar, you do, as a Pamplin student, have access to two different career centers, but you can utilize both of us as much as you would like. So first off, Career and Professional Development, that is the University's Central Career Center, and that's where I work. So we serve from first years all the way up to graduate PhD students across all campuses. Versus you have a dedicated Pamplin Career Services team that you'll hear from located right here in Blacksburg for you in Pamplin Hall, dedicated to undergraduate Pamplin students. And then I also like to remind students to utilize your faculty and staff, have chats with your professors, get to know them. They have great industry insights. So be sure to build those connections while you're here. And you never know where those connections can lead. So lots of different career support for you in everything that you're looking for. So to go into Handshake, how to be successful in using it, how to use it to its fullest. So if I can get a quick little interaction in the chat, if you can put a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat of how familiar are you with Handshake? Is this your first introduction? You've heard of it, or have you started using it but want to get more out of it? Seeing lots of 2s and 3s, so at least sounds like we've logged into Handshake or maybe set up our account, which is awesome. So I will go through some things in detail and maybe highlight some features you haven't seen, but potentially as we have questions come through as well, feel free, and I can, if I'm not covering it already, I can definitely answer some questions. So from there, 1 through 4, kind of what, if we're wanting to get a little bit more out of Handshake, what are you interested in? More about creating an effective profile, searching for jobs and internships, connecting with employers, or just broadly trying to figure out different features on Handshake. So a lot of profiles and job and internship search looks like. Some more coming in with employers. Awesome. I know we often hear about looking for those internships and those jobs. So I know that is a big interest for sure. All right, awesome. So like I said, what is Handshake? It's an online portal. You all, sounds like you've all logged into it at least once, but job and internship postings, both local and nationwide, career exploration resources that Career and Professional Development hosts on there as well. lots of ways to connect with students and employers, check out different events, and get just different information. So very similar-ish to LinkedIn in a sense, and that's the direction Handshake is taking, but focus primarily on that early career space that you all are in as young professionals. So why should we use Handshake? Why should you spend your time on it? Like I said, all the different offerings, we get hundreds, if not thousands, of different postings for different jobs and opportunities weekly, different career fairs and workshops. So more than just what's offered here. Also, employers host virtual information sessions open to a lot of different schools. So great way to connect with them there. On-campus interview options, so over in Smith Career Center, where Career Professional Development is located, across from McComas, we have some interview rooms as well. So sometimes employers will host interviews in our building. And also, if you're interested in meeting one-on-one with an advisor or career coach, like I said, you can use Pamplin Career Services as well as Career and Professional Development. So Handshake is the primary platform to schedule with Career and Professional Development staff, and I'll walk you through that as well. All right, so if you haven't already, or if you want to walk along with me, if you have your device up, that went quickly, you can scan the QR code or log into vt.joinhandshake.com, and then we'll get started. So again, single sign-on. Sounds like all of you have accessed it. You can check out your profile visibility, play around with that on whatever level you're comfortable with. It recommends community, so that is trying to engage with other people on the platform. But if you just want it so employers can check out your profile, that's an option for you as well. And you can always change this in your settings. Same thing, it'll ask you about your career interests with a bunch of different prompts upon first logging in, but you can always update these later in your profile and other options. So if you want to skip through that, you can, but filling this out really does help curate the platform and your experience with it. So firstly, looking at your profile, in the past year or so, Handshake's made some updates. So looks very similar if you also have a LinkedIn profile. So I often recommend, as you're updating one or the other, copy paste to update both. Both of them have different uses, but very similar setups. So definitely use it. You can update your background. It has some pre-filled colors that you can choose from. You can update your headline, other things like that. But you can access your profile at any time by clicking on the top right corner. If you don't have a photo on there, it'll have your initials, and then it'll show your photo once you upload that. But that is your main kind of menu dashboard there. Your education information should be pre-filled, pulled from our university systems. So there are some edit options, but you don't necessarily have to touch it. There should be an option as well to update your graduation date if that does change, but that is all automatically updated. But you can click a pencil in any of these sections to update. So here again, you can see graduation date, currently attending. Again, make sure that graduation date is updated just like you would on your resume, so that employers reviewing your profile accurately know what you're qualified for, as well as in those job listings, Handshake knows what you're qualified for and if you're a match to different listings. You also do have options to hide your GPA, so it is not publicly available on your profile, and there is both a cumulative GPA and a department GPA. Again, those will be locked and pulled from the university systems, but you do have control over who has access to that. Another newer feature, as you complete your profile, they now have an option to create a customized link, which again, you can also do on LinkedIn, that you can share your profile publicly. So if you didn't have a LinkedIn and you just want to use your Handshake profile, once you complete the steps, you'll get this green box instead of, I believe it's blue, and then you can customize your link. So I mentioned completing a profile. Handshake has different parameters as to what that means, but really trying to aim for one in each section, but primarily focus on that work experience, any of your organizations or extracurriculars. There's sections for courses, projects, skills, all different things there. So it'll update you on once you hit complete, but definitely fill it out as much as you can. A fuller profile, again, will help the platform understand a little bit more about what you're looking for, as well as help employers as they're seeking through students to reach out to, make that match for you. If you need a photo, if you didn't get one at Business Horizons, or if you're just looking for some different options, we do have a photo booth available in Smith Career Center. You can schedule through Handshake for a 15-minute block. It's our Iris photo booth, has a nice plain white background, some good like ring light lighting, and it automatically emails you your photos, and you can do touch-ups and everything for quick upload to any of those profiles. So again, I'll go through appointments, but that is available on weekdays. So there should also be an option to upload your resume. Just be sure if it's pulling information into your profile, you may need to approve each experience to actually show up on your profile. So often run into students uploading the resume, having it look like it's in your profile, but actually employers in the system aren't quite reading it. So there will be another little approval step if that's in there. But more options to edit your profile. So you can customize your name. If you go by a name that's different from what's in the system, you should have an option to update that. The headline, again, very similar to LinkedIn. You can customize this nice little line right below your name if you want to talk about the major you're in, what kind of your aspiring career goals are, other little things that you can customize there in your headline. You can also select your pronouns and then update your location. This section is really, really key. I keep saying about customizing, having the platform work for you as well as employers. This looking for section, which connects to those career interests that you filled out when you first signed up. So you'll want to click that pencil, and this is right at the top of your profile. So anyone looking at your profile sees this first. But be sure to update this as what you're looking for changes. So maybe in your first or second year, you're looking for an on-campus job. Now you're looking at internships. Later, you're looking for a full-time role. Be sure to update that job role. So then the platform is going to better recommend those jobs that you're looking for. So what type of opportunity are you looking for? And then you'll also see this role section. So these are kind of job titles, but think broadly of what function is that position focusing on. So what role is it? So you'll see some examples there. I have sales manager, meeting planner, event planner, human resource specialist. So think broadly. There's a bunch of different options in there. So type in, it has that predictive text. So test out different things, put in a variety there, and then that will look beyond just industry, beyond just job title, but functionally, what is that job listing actually showcasing that type of role? And then if you have some goal industries of what that employer is actually connected to, then that is another option as well to target those key industries. But filling out these 3 fields makes you 2.5 times more likely to see and apply for those relevant opportunities. So this is really, really key for Handshake to recommend those jobs and opportunities that you're really interested in. Also, 80% of students who fill out these 3 fields get messaged by a recruiter. So also from the employer side, they can sort through students that best match what they're looking for, and then they might proactively reach out to you. So be sure to be checking those messages in your inbox in Handshake and filter through those opportunities that may be coming your way. Another great section on here is the skills section. So different from your resume, where we'll mostly want to see just those hard skills in a skills section, you can put any kind of variety of skills here, just like you can on LinkedIn. So it recommends 10 or less. Just focus on those kind of key skills that you want to highlight on your profile, whether they're technical or interpersonal. You can do a blend of those here. All right, so that's a bit on customizing your profile. So a little bit more on the job search. So selecting that job option. Like any platform, lots of different filters that you can look through. Again, that job type that you're looking at, paid versus unpaid, that type of job role that I just mentioned, looking broadly at what is the function of the job. And then also location filters. If you're looking locally on campus, also I often put Blacksburg, which is like a 5-mile radius to really encompass a lot. But again, nationwide opportunities on the platform for you. A new thing that we are also currently building out more of is these Virginia Tech collections filter. So currently we have our Campus Intern EXP, which is an on-campus internship program, as well as our Cooperative Education Internship Program, which are off-campus opportunities. So both of those collections showcase employers associated with each program and listings that would be eligible for those programs. And then you'll see ones that we are building out relating to our new career pathways for both full-time opportunities and internship and co-op opportunities. So we are still actively in the process of building those out, but these collections will be curated towards those kind of function areas that you may be interested in and automatically put some filters on for you. And then you can always add additional filters on top. So keep checking as we add to that. Another thing, be sure to save your searches. So as you're adding filters, so you don't have to redo it every single time, you can save your searches, update, get notifications, and then manage how frequently you get those notifications. So let the platform work for you so you don't just have to be sitting down and going, oh, I have to search for an internship right now. Again, check out those notification preferences, adjust as needed. If you don't want a daily email or alert, you can always adjust it in the frequency. And you can title them so that you remember exactly what those filters were. Another great refined tip for using this job board is check out the date posted and relevancy filters are right above the job listings. So you can look at what is most recently posted. So you're right on top of new listings. I believe the default is relevancy. So based on your search. And then application deadline. So if you want to squeeze in right before the deadline, you can sort by that as well to see what's closing soon. Then be sure as you're looking, save those jobs and internships using the little banner icon. It's saved once it fills in, and then you can always go back and look at your saved jobs for later. You can also follow employers and get notifications when they post new jobs or they're attending events on campus. And again, back in that profile options, you can go look at all of your saved jobs. There's also meeting options. If you're doing an in-platform meeting, you can check out your documents. You can make your resume public and just have all of your documents that you've used within the platform. Again, adjust the visibility on cover letters, resumes, on whether or not that shows up on your profile. All right, so hopefully got some good tips on using that job search option. Other ways to connect using the platform, you may see these little boxes on job listings that you can actually send a message to the employer. If that's there, they have opted into it, so hopefully they should be responding as well. Some may also have options to, like I mentioned with those meetings, to set up little one-on-one meetings with them, kind of informational interviews. And there is a virtual built-in chat option in the platform, but they may have some external, like a Zoom or a Microsoft Teams linked as well. Like I mentioned, you can also search by employer. So if you have some employers in mind that you want to follow, be sure to follow them in the platform. And then you can view their page, learn more about them. Definitely go see the jobs that they have listed. Again, any events or fairs that they're attending that are connected with Handshake. Speaking of fairs, absolutely go check out that event section in Handshake. Lots and lots of different workshops like this one, as well as ones offered by career and professional development, as well as employer information sessions and a variety of career fairs. So the event section, and then check out those categories to filter through on what you're looking for. There's a career fair option. There's also networking if they're actively hiring in that session, just general employer information, as well as guidance sessions like these that give you good tips. You'll also see across the platform opportunities to follow and connect with fellow students, whether at Virginia Tech or other institutions, and if they've been connected to an employer or an opportunity that you're interested in. So you can check out potentially connect with them and see who has done what you're interested in already. So build that network. All right. Lastly, I mentioned appointments. If you'd like to meet one-on-one with one of our career coaches in career and professional development, again, we have our career pathways. We have 12 different pathways. So this is a choose your own adventure focused on your destination. So not just on your major. Like I mentioned, I'm over that business in that hospitality area, but you can meet with any of our coaches, as well as exploration. If you're still not sure what you're wanting to do, we support you in that way, and it's not linear at all. But this is how you'll see our appointments organized in addition to the different topics that we talk about. So like I mentioned, exploration, if you're not sure what you want to do, if you want to change your major, or if you're looking for those application material reviews, career fair prep, you want a little bit more one-on-one assistance with your search, we also have practice interviews if you're considering grad school. Also, we have a whole team dedicated to prepping for professional school in the health professions as well. So how to access that, again, left-hand side menu on Handshake under Career Center. Then you'll get to Appointments. And you can see your record of any appointments you've had, but you can schedule a new appointment. And then the first category, that's the topic that you're interested in. So I would like to get my resume reviewed, or want to do that exploration, search for a job. You can choose based on what are you wanting to talk about. And we do have a general option too, if you're not quite sure, as well as our career outfitters, which is our clothing closet, and our professional photo booth appointments are also through that. But like I mentioned, the appointment type, then you'll see it broken down by that career pathway. So figure out which one makes most sense for you, and then you can meet with an associated career coach for that pathway. Easy 24/7 access to schedule. So if you're up past midnight thinking, hey, I need to chat with someone, you can schedule. You do have to schedule at least 24 hours out. And so check out who you want to meet with, what times are available day by day, easiest way to schedule. If you meet someone, or if today you're like, hey, I'd love to chat with Alyssa more, you can also filter by specific staff member and see just my availability. Or if you have a preference, we do have Zoom appointments as well as in person over in Smith Career Center. So definitely recommend checking out that appointment medium, especially if you're interested in person, as we do work a hybrid schedule. So filter by in person if you'd like to meet in our building. You can always check if you're doing this for an assignment. We recommend taking a screenshot that shows it's completed. And so that was a very quick overview on a lot of different Handshake elements. One last thing that I want to point out is we do have an additional platform called Career Shift. We do not manage the listings on here, but it is a great secondary platform to search across a lot of different sources at once. So you do have access to this platform as well. great for both remote and specific location searches. You can find that on our website at career.vt.edu. Very similar job search functions. But this is our building over across from McComas. We do have some scaffolding outside our building, but don't worry, we are open. Again, career.vt.edu, or follow us on Instagram at VTCareerProfDev for updates on all things that are going on with career and professional development. And then lastly, I do have, if you haven't filled out our Spill the Tea survey on what you did this past summer, it does close on Friday, and you have a chance to win AirPods if you fill it out. Very quick survey, so QR code is right there. I'll leave it up for just a second. Then I'll hand it over back to Hannah.
Thanks, Alyssa. All right, so as you guys are filling this out, we are going to shift over and talk about some other options, some other search engines, and how to optimize those search engines. And a lot of this that Alyssa talked about is going to be directly helpful as we talk through this next step. So I will go ahead and get set up here. All right, guys. So as I mentioned, we are going to talk a little bit about optimizing job search engine. So my name is Hannah Landers. I'm the Assistant Director of Career Services in the Pamplin Career Services team. So as Alyssa mentioned, Alyssa is with the Career and Professional Development Office, which oversees career support for the entire university. Pamplin has our own dedicated career office, and that's us. So we work directly with undergraduate students only in the Pamplin College of Business. All right, so to quickly showcase our team here, this is our full Pamplin Career Services advising team. So myself and our 4 wonderful career advisors are listed here. We also offer one-on-one appointments. We would love to meet with you to talk about anything to do with your career search, starting with resume review and career exploration, all the way to I've got multiple offers. How do I negotiate? How do I decide between those, and everything in between? So this is a QR code to meet with one of our career advisors. Our appointments are done through Navigate. So where you find your academic advisors, you will also see an option for career services appointments. That's us. So you can book with us for a mock interview, a 30-minute appointment, or a 15-minute appointment, and we'd be more than happy to chat with you. All right, so jumping right into it, we talked a little bit about Handshake, we talked a little bit about Career Shift, but I wanted to mention some other job search engines that you all can be using. So LinkedIn, of course, is a really popular one. We strongly recommend using LinkedIn for a couple different functions, and we'll go through those today. CollegeRecruiter.com is another great option for entry-level work. We also have Parker Dewey. That's going to be on our website. This is a really cool platform with micro internships, which is something new that a lot of companies are doing. They're short-term professional projects that are paid and are remote. So this is a really cool option if you're someone who needs some experience for your resume, but maybe want to work on that earlier before waiting for the entire summer. Maybe you want to dabble in a couple different types of projects before committing to an entire internship. This is a really good option. Teamwork Online is a great option for the sports industry, USA Jobs for government, Idealist for nonprofit. There are so many out there. I could keep going. But I guess the main point I wanted to make here is the top 4 are really our top recommendations, but there are a lot for specific industry and specific focuses. So don't feel like you have to be limited to these just here. There's a lot of other platforms that are out there. And a quick frequently asked question, is quick apply okay? So a lot of times on LinkedIn, you'll see the quick apply button. It is always best to apply directly on a company website. So that goes for Handshake too. Handshake is perfectly fine, but sometimes it's going to reroute you to the company website. That's always best because it's one less barrier that the company and the recruiter has to go through. It's going to go directly into their system, their applicant tracking system. That's always going to be the best option. So when possible, make sure you apply through the direct company website. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how to use data for your search. We love data here in Pamplin. So just some general tips. The first thing I'd recommend is identifying where do recent grads that are from your major work. What are their job titles and what are their companies? This is going to help you focus on entry level versus what's something I can do in the future in my career and is a great goal, but need to know where to start to get there, right? Additionally, what are some reasonable, realistic companies that hire Pamplin students? It is perfectly okay to go above and beyond that list, but I think starting with the data of here is realistically what's hiring and who's hiring in our major, you'll be able to have a really good foundation for your search. I always recommend using this data to copy and paste and put those realistic job titles, put those realistic companies into these search engines that we're talking about today. I always recommend trying multiple keywords. So a lot of times I'll meet with a student and they're running into a wall. They can't find any more applications because they've been looking for a financial analyst. It's time to switch it up. There's going to be different ways that companies type in that same job title, and that's where this data is really helpful. So you can see what are the different keywords that we're using right now in job titles. All right, so where do I find this data? That's probably the next question you're asking. There are a couple different places. First of all, LinkedIn is a really good option for this. A lot of departments in Pamplin have alumni groups, if not the full Pamplin alumni group. This is a great place to just click into the people tab on that alumni group and see who's in that group, where are they working, and what was their major, and you can start to kind of gather data that way. Two other really great ways are the first destination survey data and stepping blocks. So I'm going to go through both of those options right now. So the first destination survey is a nationwide survey that is actually run through Alyssa's office, Career and Professional Development. And this is something that we send out to all of our graduating seniors every semester. So we're asking students who are graduating, where are you going to work and what's your job title? What's your location? And a lot of other great questions to help us gather data on what does that look like. This is information that I think most of our advisors share in every single appointment that they have, because how much more informational can you get than seeing what real students did with your major? So this is a really good place to start when you're thinking about what should I be putting in these job search engines to find something relevant to me. Scroll through this list and see what some of your peers have gotten. This is, of course, going to be full-time data, but it does translate really well when you're looking to internships. A lot of times these companies are the same ones hiring internships. The job titles will be similar, tack an intern onto the end of it. So this is a really, really good option. I do have the QR code here, but you can also find it on this website. It is career.bt.edu/outcomes. The next one I mentioned was stepping blocks. This is a new resource that Virginia Tech has for students that is really, really cool. I could put a couple screenshots here, but there's just so much information in this platform. This link right here, bt.steppingblocks.com, is your access link. Every Virginia Tech student has access. And in stepping blocks, you can see where are students working based on their industry, based on their major, what are the skills that they have. You can also see career trajectories. So these are real people. This is not made up data. This is a real person. Stepping Blocks gets all of its data from LinkedIn. So it's scraping kind of anonymously through LinkedIn and finding out what people are doing. So these are real career trajectories starting from finance degrees through to their future careers. What were their starting positions on through a couple years after they've graduated. And we have this for multiple different majors. All right. All right, so in addition to that, apologies. In addition to that, I want to talk a little bit about Boolean logic. So a lot of you are probably familiar with this, but as we're relying more and more on ChatGPT and those kind of search engines, we're probably not in the habit of using Boolean logic. So just as a reminder, these are things that you can be thinking about when you're putting something in the job search bar on a job search engine. So using quotes for direct phrases, that's really important. So if you write data analyst, it might pull up data or analyst. Data analyst will get you everything that's covering those specific positions. You can do an and or an or to really cover more positions. You can also add parentheses to combine some of these logics. So depending on what you're looking for, this may or may not be something that you want to use. It can get a little complicated the more you ask. But if you're searching and you're not finding what you need, you might want to tweak some of the Boolean logic that you're using, because it can make a really big difference on what your search engine is able to pull. All right, so let's talk about utilizing filters. I know Alyssa covered these a little bit when talking about Handshake. These are really, really important. I have a screenshot here of what it typically looks like on LinkedIn. I know you saw based on Handshake from Alyssa's presentation. They all look somewhat similar with some variations depending on the focus of the platform. My biggest tip here is to not over filter at first. You really do want to start broad and then kind of pare down. I put some of what I think the most impactful filters will be kind of as a starting point. So you certainly can choose job modality, whether that's hybrid, remote, in person, if that's important to you. Again, if you're open to anything, leave that open because you want as many options as you can find. Location, same thing here. Job type, this one's going to be important. Are you looking for full-time externship, part-time internship, things like that? Industry, this can be helpful, but again, if you're open, leave that open. And we've talked a lot in Pamplin Career Services about how you're not limited to a certain industry based on your major. Every industry is going to need business majors. So I would leave that as open as you can. Date posted can be really helpful. I know Alyssa showed that to you guys on Handshake. LinkedIn has a similar feature. Work authorization can be really helpful for international candidates. And then on Handshake, you'll want to filter for your major. That can be really helpful. So you're only seeing posts that are open to hiring your major. Same thing for LinkedIn. You can filter by experience level. This is going to show you that 0 to 2 range. And then also you can filter out those further down the line career options that maybe aren't going to be a best fit for you until you're 5 to 10 years into your career. Ultimately, my biggest tip here is to read the job descriptions and qualifications very carefully and then refine. Boolean logic and filters, you're going to find that it's a trial and error process. So when you're clicking through, don't just look at the job titles and think, oh, that's not right, and move on. Click into a few, read the qualifications, and see if that matches you. A question I get a lot when looking for internships specifically is, I don't think I'm qualified for anything that's showing up here. If it's an internship, it is designed for an undergraduate college student. So just keep that in mind. If you read the qualifications, a lot of times it will have maybe 1 or 2 technical skills and the majority soft skills. They're looking for someone who can come in and be a fast learner and pick up what they're trying to teach them, but they want a college student who's going to be able to learn quickly and be open to trying new projects and trying new systems. And the last tip I have here, so LinkedIn often has the number of applicants listed, which I know scares off a lot of students. You know, this post has 5,000 applicants. That's rarely accurate. They're tracking the number of people who have clicked on the apply now button, not the actual number of applicants. So just keep that in mind. I mean, don't get scared off just by the numbers. I would focus more on the date posted to see what's still relevant. All right, so in addition to the jobs tab on LinkedIn, you can also use the actual search bar on the news feed. So there's a different side of LinkedIn when you're searching for jobs, which is a button on the top, versus the LinkedIn newsfeed search bar. So I often recommend that students use both. So in the newsfeed search bar, you can find people who are posting opportunities by typing in phrases that recruiters often use. So for example, putting in, quote, I'm hiring and a position title. That will bring up anyone who's posted positions recently, and you can take a look and see what that position is, and then you can comment and like and really get interacted with that person. You now have both a position and a person that's connected to that position. And there's a couple things that work this way. You can try join our team, job opportunity. Deloitte is hiring. There's a lot of different things you can try to just see what are people posting about positions versus what's just on the jobs tab. A lot of times these are positions that maybe are posted on the company website and not directly on LinkedIn. So unless you go check all those company websites, you might miss something. So this is a really good way to just pull out additional opportunities. You can filter once you use this search to posts that will show you just updates from people on LinkedIn that can be helpful. And you can also add the words, remote or Washington, D.C. or something to your search. So you can quote, I'm hiring and data analyst and Washington, D.C. And that will show opportunities that kind of fit that logic. You can also try hashtags. You can actually follow these hashtags on the LinkedIn newsfeed. So you can put in hashtag hiring, we are hiring, job search, etc. There's a lot that will work for this. Of course, you need to be active on LinkedIn to track these things if you're using the search bar and following hashtags, but this is a really good way to just get more opportunities in front of you. And then this pro tip here. So again, I mentioned when you see a position that you're interested in, of course, go apply, but also give that person a like and a follow and maybe comment and say, this is a great position. Thank you for sharing. I've just applied. Now you've got a connection with that person who's just posted the position and a person that you can reach out to directly, which you don't often get when applying online. So that's a really great way to kind of overstep that barrier. All right, so speaking of networking, let's talk a little bit about the hidden job market. Some of you guys might have heard this phrase. There are sometimes listings and positions that are not heavily promoted or are only on the company website. So that's kind of what I was just talking about, where maybe they've posted it on LinkedIn, but they haven't actually listed it as a position on Handshake or on LinkedIn. It's only on their company websites. So it's important to check company websites. That's part of why this data is so helpful that we talked about. You can be aware of what companies are really target companies for you and go directly to their site. But networking is the other way to make sure you can access the hidden job market. 30 to 60% of jobs are filled through referrals. That's a really high number. A lot of the students that we work with will tell you they met someone and that person put in a good word for them or told them about a position that they wouldn't have known about. So it's really going to be important to start networking early. I think a lot of times we are in crunch mode when we start networking and we're looking for the quick the quick result of networking. Can I reach out to this person and ask them to help me get this job? But networking is best in stages. So you're going to lay the groundwork for a relationship before you start asking for anything. So this is an example of kind of a first message that I might recommend. So you're just going to tell this person, hi, I'm studying finance at Virginia Tech. I'm a junior and I'm interested in investment management. I saw that you have a similar background and now work at whatever company, and I would love to connect. So this is a really good starting message just to get a connection. You can follow along with what that person is doing and kind of go from there. And let's talk about how we can build on that connection. So the first thing you're going to do after you connect with that person, hopefully they will accept your connection, is you're going to start interacting with their content. So if they post something cool that's going on in their company or an update about their own career, you're going to like and you're going to comment and make sure that you're staying engaged and building that relationship. You can eventually send a message inviting that person to a 5 to 10 minute phone call or a coffee chat if you're in their area. It's always nice to treat them to coffee if you're inviting them out, so just keep that in mind. But this is how you kind of get that relationship started and get a little bit more out of it. So these conversations are going to be information gathering. You're not necessarily asking for the job, you're just asking questions about their career, what's it like at your company, things like that. Afterwards, you can thank them for their time. You can, be able to start growing on that. And maybe they told you about a position at their company and you now applied for it. You can let them know that you've applied. You can let them know that you're interested in doing more research, things like that. Recognize that the person you connect with might not even be the recruiting manager. It likely won't be the recruiting manager. It's much easier to find connections with recent alum and someone who works at the company versus the HR manager who's making decisions. So treat these conversations again as information finding, not so much asking them for something right out of the gate. Once you've developed this relationship, you might have someone who can refer you to HR, who can put in a good word for you, or maybe just give you tips about the interview process. All of those things are going to be really helpful, even if it's not a direct, hey, can you help me get this job from this coffee chat? All right, so in order to do that, growing your LinkedIn network is so important. More opportunities come from more reach, from more connections on LinkedIn, from more posts that you're seeing and people who are seeing you. So I want to talk quickly about how to find connections. There's a couple different ways that I recommend. Number one is, again, alumni. So checking in on those alumni groups, whether that's departmental or Pamplin as a whole. Alyssa showed you guys a little bit on Handshake, how you can find people, alumni. Handshake actually has a people tab. You can click on that and search for certain companies, search for different roles. I really like using it to search for specific companies. You'll be able to find alumni either from Virginia Tech or just from other schools. Again, Handshake is a nationwide platform. You can also sometimes find recruiters and give that recruiter a follow on LinkedIn. They may not connect with you, but a follow is really helpful because you'll be able to see what positions they're sharing on the platform. And then finally, you can also just look on LinkedIn. Aside from alumni groups, you can also just search, Virginia Tech Deloitte analyst, Washington, D.C., and see who pulls up. You'd be surprised how many you can find, especially at a larger company like Deloitte. There's a lot of alumni that work for these companies. So this is a really great way to find more people to connect with. I always say to aim for 500 plus connections. That does not have to be a goal that you set for the end of this week. This can be a goal that you have in the next 2 years. But that's kind of where LinkedIn shifts to just showing your number of connections. So it makes your profile look really professional. And again, it's just a good number to aim for because of all the connections and different opportunities that you're exposed to by having that many connections. You also are never going to have more connections than you have right now. You have peers, you have advisors, you have professors, and you have recruiters that you're meeting at different events on campus. So it's a really, really great opportunity for you. And I've mentioned this a few times, but it is so important to interact. Make sure that you're not just lurking on the platform, that you are liking, commenting, getting, interactions with folks. I really do encourage students to post when applicable. I think some great opportunities to post are if you've attended an event that you want to talk about your experience, if you listen to a speaker from a specific company, if you yourself have a career update or obtained a new certification. Those are all really great opportunities. You can also tag people. So if you heard a speaker from EY, you could tag the speaker and interact with that person further. You can, of course, thank them and brag on them a little bit. People love that. So that's a really great opportunity to connect with folks and grow your LinkedIn. All right, so updating your LinkedIn profile, just wanted to quickly touch on this. This is really important if we're going to be using LinkedIn for everything we've talked about, because the first thing they're going to do when connecting with you on LinkedIn is go look at your profile. So we've got to make sure it's updated and ready to go. I do like the open to work banner for students, maybe not for more experienced professionals, but for students, I think it's really important to showcase that you're open to talking with a recruiter. On the recruiter side of LinkedIn, all that they will see when looking through candidates is your photo, your name, and your headline. So with those three things, we want to optimize those. So that's why the open to work banner tells them that you're open to opportunities. And then we can also optimize your headline by changing it from something like student at Virginia Tech or even management student at Virginia Tech to something with a little more substance. You have quite a few characters to work with in your LinkedIn header. So I recommend putting in your current positions, even if that's something with a student org. Maybe you're going to put incoming business analyst intern at Capital One. You can also put and should put when you are available. So if you're seeking a position for summer 2026, you can put that in there. You can say your expected graduation, certifications. There's a lot that you can put here. Think of it as your very, very watered down elevator pitch that you can put right here in your headline. All right, tracking applications. So this is really, really important. I think one of the first questions we ask when meeting with a student, someone who's saying, hey, I'd love to talk about what I can do for my job search. I'm not finding what I want. We would love to see that list of who you've applied for, because that helps us kind of figure out what is going on and how can we help refine. It's also going to help you do the same. If you look at your recent applications and see who's not responding, what are the keywords, what's getting the most responses, do I need to follow up? You don't want to let anything kind of fall through the cracks there. So it's so important to track your applications. I know that gets challenging even as that list gets long, but it can make it much, much easier as you get deeper into the process. Your tracker should include all the basic information, the application deadline, the point of contact, all those things are really, really crucial. I won't read that whole list to you. We also do have a pre-made tracker that you are welcome to use. You can find it at that QR code and or on our website, but we would definitely recommend using some tracker to keep track of everything that you've been doing. All right, get alerted. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about today, but on any platform, including direct company websites, it is very important to have alerts set up if that is the position that you're going for. So I have a couple screenshots of LinkedIn, of Handshake, and of a direct company website. That's Marriott's website, just as an example. But there are great ways to track and get an email directly. The reason we say this too is some companies will basically have so many applicants that they may not be able to open for very long. So that's why I put this frequently asked question. Is applying early important? Absolutely, yes. Not every company is going to stay open for very long. Sometimes they'll open early. Sometimes it's a rolling application. So as soon as they get the number of applicants that they need, they'll close it. It's super, super important. Even if you see like the application deadline is in 2 months, I don't recommend waiting 2 months. You never know. I mean, they could be looking at applicants and kind of getting a feel for who's a good candidate even before the review date. So applying early is always your best bet. All right, so that is kind of where we're going to wrap up today. I am more than happy to take some questions, but of course, we also have our email up here. If you are like me and you think of your questions after an event, please feel free to shoot us an email. I also have our QR code here for our appointments. So you can book an appointment via Navigate with any of our advisors up here and talk to us about your job search, questions that you have about that, or anything else related to careers. And then one last plug, please check in if you have not already for this event. This is really, really important for those of you needing attendance and just for us to track data. We would really, really appreciate it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time and hope this was helpful.